One of the most frightening and fascinating creatures of ancient mythology, the Manticore has its roots deeply embedded in ancient Persia. It was described as a monster that dwelt in the far-off and exotic lands of the East. The first written account of this mythical beast was by Greek physician Ctesias in the 4th century BC in his work on India. Ctesias depicted the Manticore as a man-headed monster with the body of a lion and the tail of a scorpion, a set of properties that made it a terrifying and formidable predator. However, in its most popular guise, the creature is described as having a lion's body, bat or dragon wings, and a scorpion's tail. Ctesias described the Manticore as a man-eater, an insatiable flesh-eater that fed on humans. It had jaws with 3 rows of razor-sharp teeth, much like sharks, which made it easy for it to tear through its victim's flesh. The Manticore's scorpion tail, endowed with a hideous venom, was also an attack weapon that heightened the terror it inspired. With its hybrid aspect and ferocious nature, the Manticore held deep symbolism in ancient cultures. For the Persians, Greeks, and later medieval Europeans, the Manticore was more than just a terrifying creature. It stood for the unknown and the danger that loomed beyond the borders of the civilized world. According to Persian mythology, the Manticore embodied the threat of chaos and destruction, representing the dangers emanating from the uncharted lands of the East. Its image combined the qualities of several predators, reflecting the human fear of being chased and devoured by an uncontrollable and unstoppable force. The Greeks, who embraced and adapted the Manticore legend, considered the creature to represent the fear of the unknown and the sheer brute force of untamed nature. In Greek narratives, the presence of the Manticore stood as a reminder of the boundaries of the known world and the horrid creatures that lived beyond them. This symbolism rang true with the dread of barbarian invasions and the dangers of untapped foreign lands. Throughout medieval Europe, the Manticore symbolized evil and chaos in Christian narratives. It was often affiliated with the devil and infernal forces, representing the corruption and destruction that threatened the divine order. In medieval bestiaries, the Manticore was used to impart moral lessons on the dangers of sin and disorder. The Manticore is frequently compared to other hybrid creatures from ancient mythology, such as the Chimera, the Sphinx, and the Griffin. Each of these creatures, however, has its own quirks and symbolism. The Manticore myth's origin is most likely traced to tiger attacks in India witnessed by Persian travelers from the court of King Artaxerxes II, describing the terrifying attacks of this great feline. The Manticore found a home during the Middle Ages in bestiaries, compilations of real and fantastic animal descriptions that were widely popular in Europe. These bestiaries were more than just catalogs. They merged science, legend, and morality, using the creatures described to instill ethical and spiritual lessons. The Manticore was often portrayed in medieval bestiaries as a symbol of evil and disorder. Its features, a human head, a lion's body, and a scorpion's tail, were construed as a monstrous compound that defied God's natural order. Including the Manticore in these works served to illustrate the corruption and perversity that could emerge when the boundaries between the human and the bestial were breached. With the progress of the Renaissance and the burgeoning interest in encyclopedic knowledge, the Manticore also made its way into encyclopedias of mythical and natural creatures. These volumes attempted to compile knowledge of the natural and supernatural world, and the Manticore was a natural fit due to its widespread popularity and the fascination it held for scholars and readers. In encyclopedias, the Manticore was frequently described with a more scientific undertone, reflecting the author's attempt to distinguish fact from fiction. Yet the magical nature of the Manticore meant that it was always seen as an oddity, an indicator of the boundaries between the real and the imagination. The Manticore's presence in these pieces reflected an enduring fascination with the creature and an attempt to grasp its place in the world. With its hybrid and nightmarish nature, the Manticore not only captivated the imagination of writers and artists, but also inspired philosophical reflections on the nature of existence and the boundaries of human knowledge. In modern philosophy, the Manticore may be viewed through the eyes of existentialism and postmodernism. As a being that defies categorization, the Manticore represents the intricacy and ambiguity of existence. Modern philosophers may use the Manticore to explore themes such as identity, otherness, and the splintering of the human experience. The creature represents the complexity of being and the difficulty of defining the essence of reality. With its deep symbolism embracing morality, the natural order, and the complexity of existence, the Manticore assures that its legend will always enthrall and inspire reflections on human nature and the limits of knowledge.